Hi, how are you? I'm Hilary Walton. Welcome to the Digital Culture Ideas Show. This is a show about technology and people. On today's show, I'd like to welcome Cam Calkoen. Cam is just a beautiful human. Cam's the type of person that you want to have as your friend because they make you feel amazing. They push positivity out into the world and energy, and he has some fabulous messages that are always relevant, but are even more relevant now for people who might be going through hard times. And he's just so real. Cam was born with cerebral palsy, and that meant for him that the doctor said two of the hardest things he was going to be able to find to do was speaking and walking. But Cam, being Cam and pushing things to extreme, he ended up becoming an Olympic medalist in the 100 and 200 meter sprint. And he's also a certified professional speaker, and his day job is actually being a global or international motivational speaker. And boy, he does a good job of that. I have witnessed Cam firsthand, and it's great to see some of the work he's doing online. He's actually pushing out some of the snippets of his work, and it means that, you can kind of dial him up whenever you might need that extra bit of rejuvenation or replenishment of the soul. He is just a joy to talk to. As I said, you just want to be his friend because he is just so lovely and so awesome, so incredibly, incredibly awesome. So I'd like you to introduce you to Cam Calkoen. Cam, how are you?
Oh, I'm very good, Hilary. I've just actually got back from doing my first online virtual training, so I'm pumping, feeling good.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. What
Yeah.
was that?
Um, so me and a good mate of mine, we've always wanted to do stuff together. Like I'm an inspirer, he's a motivator. When we're together, we just like gel. We have so much energy, and over the years, we've tried so much stuff, and then of course COVID came along. Um, Stage work went from over 100 talks a year to zero in the space of a couple of hours, really. And we spent a lot of time thinking about, well, what are we going to do? And eventually came on this idea of running challenges for people as cheap as like $5 a person. And when you see how much work we do for like $95, it's laughable. But I used to do my speaking for a free dinner, and now it's a six-figure business a year with no overhead. So when if you have the right passion and the right drive, cool things happen, and we definitely got some really cool results. Talking about people finding their strong place this
Oh,
morning.
fantastic. Oh, well, that sounds like you're a pretty good duo then. One inspirational, one motivational. I bet that's brilliant to watch. So I look forward to seeing where maybe I can find that.
Yeah,
Where can I
man,
find
check it out. So at the moment, it's called Your 2020 Edge.
that? Cool.
And
Yeah.
everything is a dot group, and we're running at the moment. We're doing a challenge Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but we're just playing around with it as we go. But
Awesome.
it's really cool. It's great power and collaboration in doing stuff with people, because people who know me don't necessarily know Joe. People who know Joe don't necessarily know me. And so when we're together, we can tap on the stuff that we've built our brands around, but it comes across in a
Yeah,
completely
definitely.
new way because we've got the synergy of one another. So,
Yeah, definitely. I must
yeah.
admit, I'm really enjoying the collaborations at the moment as well. Like you're right, the conversation just does go different places.
Yeah, is
Um,
that your own collaborations or collaborations that you've seen at this time?
so both collaborations I've seen, and I've certainly seen a lot more of them over the pandemic period, if people have tried to kind of think of different ways to do things or different ways to get messages out. But I started collaborating over this period as well. I wasn't doing it before. It was kind of like me to the video camera, and now I'm having these conversations, and I must say it's so much fun. It is so much fun just seeing where the conversation goes and talking to really super interesting people like yourself. Like Cam, I remember I probably met you over a year ago, and it was because you had come and spoken to the management team at Cordia, and you were just amazing. Like everyone in that audience and that management team was like, wow, this is, such brilliant messages to be hearing. And, I even took a selfie with you because I was kind of like, this guy's so cool. I want to post that I've seen him. And it was brilliant. And, at that time, you had these huge plans for bringing awesomeness to the international stage. You were already doing it at that stage, but you had bigger plans to be on that really international speaking tour. And then, COVID hit and the pandemic hit, and that must have been pretty disruptive in terms of what those plans were. So can you tell us what was going on for you, and how did you respond when things, your world kind of changed a little bit?
Yeah, so thank you for sharing your words and your memories from the day. Like, it's always so cool to hear what people were feeling and believing, and I love it. That's why I do what I do, and I've been speaking now for 18 years. For the last 7 years, it's been my full-time professional gig. I call it a lifestyle because it's a real privilege to be able to do what we did with you, walk into a room where people don't really know what they're going to expect, and within minutes people are laughing, crying, sharing emotion, realizing that we have way more in common than not. And so I'm always looking for ways to push that. Last year I climbed up Mount Kilimanjaro, and I think afterwards I spoke about that with you guys, and and how with the people that I went up with are all people who pushed about bar, they've billion-dollar companies, entertainers, musicians, great charity workers. And when I had the opportunity to ask them, what gets you to your level of success? They said, at the point of getting comfortable, we challenge ourselves further. And so I came down Kilimanjaro, having reached the top, going, that was awesome. What else could I do? And so I started looking for, I've always had this American dream as a speaker. I've been going over for the past 5 years, a few weeks, a month at a time. But what would happen if I moved there? And so I started the process of moving, of, applying for the green card. Within a few weeks, I had a booking in Hawaii for 25,000 people. And so I'm going, wow, and most of them were American. So I'm like, wow, like, here's an opportunity. I was spoken my dream. The world responded. In the same month, I was going to be carrying the Olympic torch up in Japan at the in the world relay, and so all these things were lining up, right? It's like boom, 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 2020, here we come, and then COVID came, and it's a day of just everything getting postponed, but most of it cancelled, and it was challenging, but everything comes down to perspective.
That's very true. Yeah, and then what you do after that point, for sure.
Yeah, and so I had to ask myself, what do I do here? And the best thing was to contact all the events, make contact with people through my email, through my communication, to say, look, I'm thinking of you. What can I offer in this time? And not as a way of making money. Like, I was just spitting out my videos up on YouTube, just using that time to not enhance the brand, but really protect the brand. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then, so was that what you did? You contacted these people and sort of said, "What can you do?" Then I'm just basically giving, little snippets of Cam out for free so that you
Just
can
giving it, just
bring
giving
people up.
everyone was hurting, right? And you create a service which has a value, and everyone's sort of panicking, right? Everyone's going, "Oh, sales have gone to zero," or whatever it may be. Like I've got old family. Like there is so many pressures in people's life, and it still is, and so it was also going, how can I just be a breath of positivity, of inspiration to be like, let's live? Because if you want to go and read all the doom and the gloom and the facts about it, you can, and that's important. That's what keeps us safe. But at the same time, there needs to be messages going out of like, you know, challenge or opportunity. How we see it just comes down to what we view.
Yeah, that's very true. Look, and if I sort of think back to things that you've accomplished and things you're doing now, like there's so much going on. You've been the athletic gold medal medalist, 100 and 200 sprints. You've been a charitable fundraiser. You've got your social innovator, going on with the Carabiner mentoring program. Certified professional speaker, you are a podcaster, you do blogs, you do vlogs, there's a lot going on in terms of you're online everywhere. And so what has been your kind of approach to social media, and has that changed over time?
Yeah, it's definitely changed from being a teenager and just blogging about the parties to really seeing it as a way to extend the love, and a bit like we were talking about before. For a long time now, it's just been about showcasing who I am, and showcasing who I am to that audience that is growing not quickly but as a quality audience, as
Yes.
engagement, and the reason in which after every event I stick up a photo, of the people
Yeah.
I've just spoken with. And the hope is that, it reminds people of the messages that they've heard from a previous event, because I know that 90% of my audience are people who have been in an audience with me. So it's furthering the love, furthering the awesomeness, and then with the hope and the kind of not desire but hope that if someone's sitting in the office and the manager comes out and someone says, "Oh, have you heard of a speaker?" Or, "We're looking for a speaker," someone can be like, "Oh, well, we see Cam on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Let's get them in."
Oh, and I think that's really effective, because that's exactly the kind of emotional effect that I've felt from seeing your posts. And,
Sure.
I've seen them as it started off, you're just doing selfies of events,
Yeah.
and now I've seen it progress to video kind of bits
Yeah.
as well now. And whenever I see one, I'm like, oh, because I totally reflect on, how you made me feel in that moment when you were speaking to us. And so I'm like, oh, they've just had that experience. That's so cool. So, I think that really works. And it also builds a community around you as well, of people who've kind of felt the belief and felt the love. So I think it's brilliant. It works for yourself, but then it's so good for your community as well. Like, I totally believe
Yeah. But yeah, it's
that.
interesting, that thing of constantly changing, and also how sometimes the most obvious thing isn't visible. So I'd always been doing the photo, sticking up the photo and asking someone to take a photo. And I was speaking at an event about the time I spoke with you guys, and there was
Yeah.
a professional photographer. And I was like, "Great, are you able to take this photo?" And she was like, why don't I take a video? And so we stuck that video up,
How
and
that
you're
happened?
right, it was so much different because now it wasn't just smiling faces and people being, it was, you could actually feel the energy. And so from that point on, I always have the video.
Oh, there you go. And
And
oh,
otherwise, because most of my work comes from some form of inquiry or someone who has been involved in putting me in that room who's not actually in that room. So part of it is giving back to those people and being like, check out the event that you created.
yeah, exactly. That's really cool. And it's interesting how, we can start fostering these sense of belonging through technology. Like you say, moving from a photo to the video. And there really is this kind of connection between technology and people, I believe. Hence why I've
Yeah.
got this show around digital culture. But what does, being digital or having a digital culture mean to you?
Yeah, well, the great thing about a digital culture is that, well, awesome thing about it is that you get to choose the culture that's around you, right? Like that, I was thinking about it, and that's from my perspective, and especially in this time of COVID, right? Like, I remember turning on my digital feeds, my Twitter, my Instagram, my
Yeah,
Facebook, and everything I was getting was about COVID. And, so many people died here and there, and this is what's going on. And then there were people complaining, and I was like, this is my opportunity to decide what I want coming in on that feed, who I want coming in on that feed. So I just got really selective. And if people inspired me with their comments, I followed it. If it was
yeah.
something that wasn't inspiring, that wasn't lighting me up and making me feel alive, I unfollowed that. And so, yeah,
I love it. No one has said
that.
that yet on this show. You can choose your own digital culture. And
Yeah,
that's right. That's all what your personal feed is all about, isn't it? Fill it up with
I mean,
negative or positive.
yeah, yeah. As I was thinking about, it's obviously more from a consumer perspective than a sales or going out and offering something. But if we want to be surrounded by great people, and if we don't have the ability or the capacity to be physically with these great people, well, they're now available online. They are available online. So things like the podcast, why listen to the news when you could listen to the Tony Robbins podcast? And, I listened to that the other day, and he was interviewing the lady who was the founder of Spanx and, the first female billionaire from, cutting off the feet in her pantyhose. And just hearing those stories is what life should be all about.
Yeah, yeah. And also, Cam, hearing your stories, because some of the topics and themes you discuss, they are so incredibly well placed for what we're going through at the moment.
Mm.
There definitely has been a lot of fear, and it's still there as well. People are thinking about losing jobs or losing loved ones or health issues and trying not to touch people and things like that. And I think you have this really uniquely positive and optimistic perspective. And as a person born with cerebral palsy, you were just challenged by talking and walking, but you've overcome so much of that to be an athlete and a global public speaker and things like that. So have you reflected on that during this kind of time, that in fact the messages that you were talking about, which were just great messages in general, are maybe almost even more relevant in the current environment? Has your
Yeah.
thinking on those topics changed at all, or what's your view on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. The topics that I speak about are really relevant today. And what I've been doing during this time is kind of researching as to how people spoke after events like the Great Depression or World War Two, or how is it? Because we have this very unique situation in this era of
Mm.
everyone's now been through the same challenge together. And how do you, as a speaker, start to bring that in as a way that becomes another way of building rapport with people, but
Yes.
not a way that people want to hear? People don't want to hear about it. People won't necessarily, hey, Cam, can you come and speak about this because we want the positivity? But you've got to be able to address the pink elephant in the room. So, like, when I come and speak with you guys, I
Yeah.
aren't speaking about living with cerebral palsy, but I do acknowledge it straight away so that we can then move on to focus on what's really important, and that's our dreams and our goals. And it's going to be the same thing with Corona and COVID 19. But reminders of what is the most important thing in the world. It is for people, it is for people, it is for people.
Mm.
And that's why I spent the first few weeks going back to everyone that I could and checking in and creating videos and getting other speakers to put together videos to send off to the agent. And some people would say, oh, but Cam, that agent doesn't really do anything for me. And I was like, well, this is a great opportunity then to show them that you care and get out there and put it there and to be a giant, be someone who is giving, give. When I look at the session that we did, and it was $5 to join up, but you've got to start somewhere,
Yeah.
and putting those videos out, making stuff accessible, all that builds the brand. And I often ask my mum and dad, what decision did you make when you knew I'd been born with cerebral palsy? Because going into this, they had no idea I was going to be born with cerebral palsy. Everything went to plan, and then something happened at birth which didn't go to plan, and then I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. And so there are no books about this, there was no warning about it. And mum and dad always say to stay true to the dreams that inspired them to be parents. And that our dreams are what we really need to be holding on to in this time, because our dreams are what will realign ourselves and our perspectives and our thinking and our communities. And the beauty is that the whole world is going through this challenge together. So we
Yeah.
can let the ego side of it go away. We're not having to protect or put up a brave face in front of everyone and pretend that everything's going okay, because everyone knows that there are challenges there. So we actually get to have some pretty honest conversations that we possibly haven't had with our social circle for a very long time.
Now that's true. The actual mental health check-ins that we're legitimately doing with colleagues and peers and each other, because actually it's really stressful for everyone. So
Yeah.
you're so right, and it has meant that it's been more okay somehow than it was before to get
Yeah.
really personal with people and ask them those kind of questions. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, even myself, when this all started, I remember watching a man in a wheelchair come past. The fact that he was in a wheelchair didn't even come into my mind. It was more thinking of, I wonder if he's going to be okay. I wonder if his family is okay. Just thinking the same way in which I was thinking about every single person. And so things like this could actually be a great kind of equaler
Mm,
for community, and realizing that what we have in common is way more than what makes us different. And so we will be starting to look for the attitudes and the people that we want to be like.
yes, yeah. Hey, look, Cam, you mentioned a phrase before, which I kind of play over in my head. It's something that you did mention when you came and spoke to us, but it's something I've reread through your free ebook, which
Yeah,
people can download as well from
yeah,
your website. And it's the phrase is become a giant in your community. And you mentioned giant before. So,
yeah,
what do you mean exactly by that? And how can the things we do in our everyday life sort of contribute to that?
yeah. So being a giant in our community, when I look at people who have really stood out in my life, have been people who live for a purpose beyond themselves. So as a teenager, I spoke about Jeremy Wells, and he was known as Newsboy at the time, and he was on a TV show called Havoc. And I loved him. I loved his style, his communication, everything he did. I thought he was awesome. My mum, she knew I really loved this guy. Um, and when I was going through a really tough time, we were going to counselors, we were talking about depression, all this stuff that we didn't really like, that wasn't working because it was just giving me more of the stuff that I didn't want. Mum wrote a letter to Jeremy, and I don't know what she put in it, Jeremy, in that letter, but Jeremy wrote back from TV New Zealand, and he wrote me a two-page letter. He was a 21-year-old, so really young at the time. And in that letter, he had the words, different is a good thing. You know, and so I see him as a giant because he was an influencer. You know, these people, Rotarians that I've had the privilege of meeting, who have grown their businesses and families and life and still keep looking for ways to give back, to do charitable fundraisers, to be mentors, to be servants. And that when we give, it gives us more opportunities ourselves. So a giant is a huge person, and you become huge in your belief, in your outlook through giving as much as you can.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Oh gosh, I'm just listening to you speak, and you're an amazing speaker. Even like on a podcast, you're so fantastic.
Oh,
Like I'm
thank you
just
so
kind of
much.
mesmerized. You pause in the right places, and you're just mesmerizing. And as I said, like I have downloaded that ebook that you have on your website,
Yeah,
and it was truly a gift because when I listened to you and I saw my other colleagues doing it as well, like I was like writing notes like crazy. Like that's my process. I'm like, oh, I've got to capture these
yeah,
amazing thoughts and ideas. But of course I
yeah.
couldn't capture it all because I couldn't write quick enough. And I did swap my notes with someone else, and we, got a really good gist of what you had discussed with us.
Cool.
But that book is great because it's there, and I
Awesome.
can just kind of dive into it when I
Awesome.
need. So thank you.
And there's another thing, I've just like I made that book available online because people were like, "Have you got a book? You should do a book." Da, da, da. I don't really like doing things the way that every other speaker or every other person does it, and so I'd gone through these processes and tried to create this book. It was cool and it's awesome, but it's not. It's like everything's a work in progress, and so I just put it out there as how it is, and the fact that it did what it did for you is exactly why I put it out there. Just a reminder that you can dip into, and again give and extend that message.
Yeah. From that book, there's a phrase that I've pulled out because I guess it resonates with me, but it's also something which I've been trying to work with my kids on. So
Yeah.
the phrase was whether it's positive or negative vibration, the world will give you more of the same.
Mm.
So I just went, oh my gosh, that's so true for me. But when you wrote that, like, what? Tell me more about that, like from your own words.
Yeah. So Law of attraction. Have you read much of that?
Yeah. My
Yeah.
psychologist background, I know lots about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hadn't until I was about 21, 22 years of age, and I was running a youth mentoring program, and we had an article in the paper, and it was telling about the work we were doing, and I got this phone call from this lady who I had no idea who she was, and she was
Okay.
like, "Cam, I have these two. I'm inspired by what you do. I want to give to you. So here's a giant in our community." She said, "I've got these tickets to this event called the Law of Attraction. Do you want them?" And I, I had nothing else to do. It was a Tuesday night. I wasn't really sure what I was in for. I was a little bit skeptical, but I thought, okay, let's go along. And I went along, and there was this guy, Michael Rosier, speaking on the stage for maybe an hour and a half. And for about an hour and a half, I was just sitting on the edge of my chair, totally getting
Mm,
everything that he was speaking about. And thinking that, oh my gosh, this is the theory, this is the words to what I feel I've been doing in my life. So I went and I bought the book, and now I'm not much of a reader. Like my mind's way too active. I can get distracted too much, and I but I bought his book and I read it cover to cover, and
wow.
in that book were those words, of the vibrations that you put out, the vibrations you get back, and all the people who inspire me are the same. My good mate, Jeff Shaw, who's a musician, and he came up Kilimanjaro with us last year, and he was on TV the other day, and he starts the interview singing the song, good morning, it's a beautiful day," and right away, because he came into that interview with the energy, that's the feel that the whole interview did. And you can test it on yourself. You tell yourself bad stuff, and bad stuff happens in terms of how you're feeling. You get into a tricky situation, you start to look at the positivity, you start to look at the awesomeness, and it's amazing how much it changes.
Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah, yeah,
And even I know there was with psychology, one thing I read somewhere, when I was studying that was, and it kind of works in the same way, like you can even just smile for 7 seconds and that can kind of change your whole outlook, like
yeah,
physically, like
yeah,
logically, kind of change your
yeah,
whole outlook.
yeah,
And so you combine that with the thinking and the believing and
yeah.
the positive thoughts, then
And you know
it's actually
what?
kind
I
of
think for some people it can be a bit scary because it's like, is it really that simple? But but it is, and it's what gets people going, and it's a bit like people can be seeing this as a storm at the moment, or just a season. And that when you look back on the um, Fortune 500 and the amount of businesses that were formed during a Great Depression or adversity of some kind within the world, and what they've gone on to achieve. Walt Disney and Disney was one of those. And Walt Disney had the quote, and I love this quote, but if you aim to get 1% better every day, you will have recreated yourselves every 100 days. And so
yes.
within this period of lockdown, we do have the ability to recreate ourselves.
Absolutely. That's so true. Yeah. And kind of reflect on what that new self should be as well. I think a lot of us have kind of done that, taken some stock during this time as well.
Yeah, what
And
what lights you up? What gets you excited? You even if you love your job right now, use this time to remind yourself how much you do love it, Or
Yes.
if it's about creating something else, create something else that's going to last forever, not just for now. Because if we focus on the immediate short term, we're only ever going to get short term results on that stuff. But if we're looking to create something because we've had an opportunity and we see a long term focus of it, well, then that's when it starts to be worth the while of how much time it actually takes to create a 1 hour podcast. Or, if I go back to this morning again, it was 1 hour, people paid $5 each, but it's been 2 weeks of work, but it's worth it because we're playing for a long game.
It's so true, definitely. And so, Cam, speaking of the mid to long term, what do you have coming up that you want people to know about?
Uh, what do I have coming up that I want people to know about? But every day is an opportunity to create your awesomeness and go out and find it and be a giant in the community and know that there's lots of inspiration out there. And if you want to jump on my Instagram or my YouTube or my Facebook to see some of that inspiration, cool. Um, but be the light in this world right now. That's what I want
Mm,
people to see.
yeah, well, you're definitely being that for me. So thank you. And so for people to download that ebook as well, so that's from your website, so
Yeah.
www.camcalkoen.com. So
Yep.
CamCalkoen.com. That's right, isn't it? Well,
Perfect.
Cam, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I find you really replenishing. Like in terms of the energy you give out and give to other people, and you're an inspirational person, and gosh, you're such a fantastic speaker as well. I love that. And so thank you so much for coming on the show. It has meant so much to me, and I'm so pleased that we've got to catch up again. And I enjoy watching you and following you and sort of getting my little Cam inspiration snippets. So it's been such a joy to have you on the show. So thank you.
Thank you, Hilary. I really appreciate it. And thanks for doing what you do in our community because it's getting the inspiration, it's getting the story out there.
Oh, thank you.